Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Wheeler, and you're probably asking yourself, what the hell are you doing, Ben? Well, I'm going to do a Fate Reforged set review for the Canadian Highlander format. And even though the set came out quite some time ago, I feel the need to put out at least a video to fill in the gap of the set reviews in which I was doing. Fortunately, I won't have any guest speakers, as this was kind of an impromptu project, but let's just burn through this and see how the set looks. Now, I actually haven't seen all of these cards. Some of these cards I'm seeing for the very first time, so let's take a gander, shall we? First off, we have Yasvoa Dragonclaw, 3 mana 4/2, in green, legendary creature, has trample, it's a human, great creature type, warrior, great creature type. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can pay 1 colorless and then 2 hybrid Izzet mana. If you do, gain control of target creature an opponent controls with power less than Yasvoa until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste. So Yasvoa is a part of this cycle of legendary creatures that are relatively cheap. They go with the clans from the cons block, and they usually, I believe they're mostly combat oriented, or at least the ones I'm going to be talking about are, and they're quite good, I think, or at least the ones I've selected, obviously. I think they're quite good. This one might be the best, unless the blue one is proven otherwise, but it's green, it's easy to cast, so I would throw it in red-green. It's got pretty good stats, trample's nice on power that big, and the combat ability is a nice little touch. Personally, I'd like to see this in blue-green Sorensen kind of aggro tempo deck list, being able to put down a reliable threat at such a low cost, and then be able to pump mana to aggress if need be, which that deck can kind of struggle with. No matter what build you decide to go with, there can be times where you really want to speed up the clock, and she certainly helps in doing that. Next card, we have Wandering Champion. It's a 2 mana 3/1 human monk. Whenever Wandering Champion deals combat damage to a player, if you control a blue or red permanent, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Honestly, when looking at this card, I do not pay any attention to the text box. To me, this is just a 2 mana 3/1 to go along with the other 2 mana 3/1s that white has to offer. If you're looking for that type of hyper-aggressive white weenie build, usually, you know, if you're going, white weenie is such a diverse deck. There are many different ways of building it. And the 3/1 build, as I affectionately call it, due to the fact that you play every single 3/1 for 2 mana, you can also play the Boros build that is similar to this. It thrives in an environment where it's not going to be running into Llanowar Elves or surprise Dryad Arbors or whatnot. Not exciting, but it's worth mentioning because it does have a spot in an archetype. Next, I don't even have to say anything about this guy, do I? Tasigur, he costs 1 mana, he's a 4/5, he has card selection. I mean, it's pretty standard right now. This guy is one of the only cards, other than, say, Ugin, that I knew about during my hiatus because of how powerful he has been in Eternal formats. Play this guy. Next one, Soulfire Grandmaster. Actually, another card that I heard about mostly because there was a shitload of hype about this guy. I mean, he's cool, he's flashy, he's a 2 mana 2/2, so that's, you know, whatever. He's got lifelink, that's great. Instants and sorceries you control have lifelink. Now that's crazy. Whoa, my lightning bolt is now a lightning helix. But really, that's not the reason why I would throw him on this list. I wouldn't want to see him in like a Boros list. Maybe a blue, white, red tempo list for his next ability primarily. 2 and then hybrid Izzet. The next time you would cast an instance or sorcery spell from your hand this turn, put that card into your hand instead of your graveyard as it resolves. So basically this I don't want to say Tameo Emblem because I don't remember if it's a replacement effect or if it triggers when it hits the bin. But basically it combos with Time Walks. Time Walk in particular, so you're not really stretching your mana. And playing Time Walk alongside this card, some burn spells, some more cheap creatures, that's something I can see a tempo deck doing. Silumgar the Drifting Death. 6 mana for a 3/7 flying dragon. Has hexproof. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures the defending player controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. This is purely speculation. Possibly this guy should be thrown down in the sideboard or the AKA trap cards kind of selection. But his ability to sweep up pesky Lingering Souls tokens, Elspeth tokens, Llanowar elves, even creatures in like mono red and whatnot, and still have a, I mean, look at the ass on this thing. 7 toughness and hexproof. You're not getting through this. I like this guy. He's probably, if somebody came up to me and said, Ben, you're a fucking idiot, this guy doesn't see any play at all, you know what? They're probably right. Because he's one of these cards where it's 6 mana, it's not a Wormcoil Engine, it's not a Grave Titan, it's really narrow, but I am scared of this card. The clock isn't huge, so it's not exactly the best finisher for kind of a control deck, but it helps with the grind, helps kind of get rid of all the bits and pieces that you don't necessarily want to devote removal to, but you want to get rid of them to avoid, you know, any possible big dumb idiot baddie that comes down from the green deck, or the slow grind from like a junk deck with Lingering Souls. On to Shu Yun, the Silent Tempest. 2 and a blue, easy to cast. Human Monk with Prowess. Love this ability. Wish it got more appreciation. For a 3/2, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay 2 hybrid Boros. If you do, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. I can see this guy going into like a blue-red tempo, into blue-red-white tempo. Obviously not mono-blue. Maybe blue-white itself, or like Esper tempo. Basically, put him in a tempo deck. He's going to end the game quickly. He's cheap. He's a little vulnerable, but I mean, you can get tricky. I wouldn't necessarily slam him down on the table on turn 3 every single game, but he looks like he can do some good work. So I would go for playing this guy in any appropriate deck. Shaman of the Great Hunt. 3 and a red for a 4/2 haste. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. And then it has Ferocious, which I believe can only be used if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, but hey, this guy's a 4/4 by default, so let's get that out of the way. 2, and then 2 hybrid Simic. Draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. This is a card that I don't know if it's seen exposure in the Canadian Highlander format, but I have seen him pop up quite a couple of times in the European Highlander circuit. 2 toughness is a little but he kind of fits this like Hero of Oxid Ridge role, while also having an ability that can like get you back into the game. It adds this card advantage to colors that really just get card advantage from the impressive qualities of their creatures. I don't know, again, 2 toughness, that's a little scary, and in order to use its Ferocious ability, you have to, I mean, I assume you have to untap unless you have 8 mana lying around, and if you untap with this guy and any of the other 4 mana equivalents, such as Hero of Oxid Ridge, I think you're already in a pretty good spot. So maybe there's a lot of competition. I mean, there's certainly a lot of competition at 4 mana for red, and red-green. I wouldn't play him in like a red-blue deck. I think green is necessary to get this guy going at a reasonable pace. But there's competition for him, but he's certainly seen favor elsewhere. Monastery Mentor. 2 and a white for a 2/2 human monk. Prowess. Whenever you cast non-creature, he gets bigger. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a 1/1 white monk creature token into play with Prowess. So this guy is like young pyromancer on steroids. He's huge, he's easy to cast, or well, he's not huge. He makes an army of huge guys, he's easy to cast. You can protect him. This card seems nuts to me. I haven't heard much about this guy in Canadian Highlander, and I'm not sure why, because he just seems like the cat's pajamas to me. I'd like to see more of this card. I don't know what else to say. He's insane. Play him in tempo lists. You could even play him in like White Weenie maybe if you're feeling really degenerate. But tempo is, I think, where this guy belongs. Merciless Executioner, 2 and a black for a 3/1. When he ETBs, each player sacrifices a creature. This guy is just a fleshbag marauder with art that doesn't make you want to hurl. Nothing much to say about him, but hey, gotta include these boring cards, you know, pad the videos to get that lovely YouTube revenue. Just kidding, that's not happening. Mardu Woe-Reaper, it's a Savannah Lions, that's a human warrior, great creature types, but hey, it's a part of the trend of making Savannah Lions the worst Savannah Lions, unless it's beta. Because whenever the Woe-Reaper or another warrior ETBs, you may exile a creature card from any graveyard, and if you do, you gain 1 life. So it can attack graveyard recursion strategies. So White Weenie has I played a lot of White Weenie in my time, and one of the matchups that I really hated was the black-green kind of rock deck, the recurring nightmare decks. The deck that can that can evoke a Shriekmaw and then the next turn animate Deaded or something like that, and just you're not having a good time. This guy helps with that. Also for Reanimator, if they're setting up, helps against this. I mean, you can't win every battle. It doesn't hit artifacts or sorceries, so it's not the greatest against Storm. But that's why we have Dryad Militant. Am I right? Play this guy, Mardu Strike Leader, 2 and a black for a 3/2. Human warrior. Whenever he attacks, you put a 2/1 black warrior creature token onto the battlefield, and it has dash for 3 and a black. For those that don't know, when you play dash, you pay it for whatever the dash cost is, comes into play, has haste, and you return it to your hand from the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So it's kind of like this unearth mechanic that ends up returning it to your hand rather than it dying. Actually, it's not like Unearth at all. Forget I even said that. So it's a 3-mana creature in black with 3 power. It's easy to cast. He makes tokens. Dash is nice if you don't want to overextend too much. I like this guy in a mono-black aggressive deck or black-white aggressive, black-white-red, you know, that kind of jam. Maybe even Jund. Jund doesn't seem like the best slot because a 3-drop in a green deck is, again, competitive. I'd like him in Demon Stompy, aka Ride the Demon, because he's very easy to cast. This set has a lot of creatures that are pretty easy to cast, but if you want to get their full benefits, you have to obviously play other creatures. Mardu Strike Leader doesn't fall in that second category. He's easy to cast, and you just get the benefit for playing him. I like him a lot. Mardu Shadowspear. 1 mana 1/1, human warrior. When he attacks, each opponent loses 1 life, and then it has dash for 2. So he's a pulse tracker with a better creature type that has dash if you don't want to overextend. Play him in the aggressive black lists. Play him in the list where you would play the pulse tracker variants. We're up to about 4 variants now of this kind of card. I don't know how the aggro black players feel about these, but I certainly like them. As far as I'm concerned, they're 2-power creatures. Mardu Scout, 2 mana 3/1. It has dash. It's a goblin, 3 power for 2 mana. It can dash if you don't want to overextend. Pretty boring card, but hey, it gets the job done. Hewed Stone Retainers, 3 mana 4/4 artifact creature. Cast the Retainers only if you've cast another spell this turn. So this card is not very good, but if you really need to have another Illusory Angel type effect, and you don't have the blue mana, this is the guy for you, or guys, I guess there are 2 of them. Not super exciting, although you can cast them off Workshop, so that's the only real reason I'm including him. Moving on, Gurmag Angler. This guy's a 5/5 for about 1 mana. Of course, there's a condition. You do have to delve but usually I'd like to think he's a 5/5 for 1 or 2 mana. Like this card a lot. I wouldn't... you might play him in control. I don't know. I don't know how control players feel about playing these kind of delve cards. I imagine he would see more play in tempo lists, Grixis, maybe Bug Tempo, that kind of thing. But I'd be interested to hear the thoughts and opinions of control players if they've tested these kind of cards out. Certainly Tasigur would fall into that category, but something like this tickles my fancy. Speaking of tickling my fancy, we have Frostwalker. 2 mana 4/1. When he becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. So he has 1 toughness, so if he's targeted by something, he's already dying. You don't get the benefit if they swords it or if they path it, but hey, if you're a deck that's looking to play these kind of big dumb idiots, he's your big dumb idiot. Battle Brawler. 2 mana 2/2. As long as you control a red or white permanent, Battle Brawler gets +1/+0 and has first strike. He is an orc warrior. So, including this kind of card on the list, I'm having second thoughts because he's similar to the cycle of Curd Apes that came out in one of the core sets. I believe M13 and M14 had them, or possibly M15, with like Flint, with the notable ones being Flint Hoof Boar, and the Salamander. Hell if I know what he's called. But Flint Hoof Boar was the only card out of those cycles. Oh, hello, Roseface. Only cards out of those cycles that actually saw any play. Mostly because it's a 2 mana 3/3. And if you have 3 mana, it's like a Ram Gang. It's a 3 mana haste creature. The Salamander never really saw that much play, which was a 2 mana 2/1 in red. And if you have a Swamp, it becomes a 3/2 with pay 3 mana regenerate. You can just use the ability. So you can just regenerate it no matter what. And you can get Flint of Boar haste no matter what. There was also the Dauntless something Marshal. 2 mana 2/1. If you control an island, it becomes a 3/2, and then it has a 2 and a blue to tap a creature. It's 3 and a blue, tap a creature. So this guy kind of falls into that category. However, you do have to actually make more commitments to the board in order for him to get bigger. He seems like a card that if you're in a really aggressive black-red deck, you might want to test him out. First Strike is great for just plowing through things without having to deal with it dying off, but not exactly the highlight of the set. Aven Skirmisher, best card in the set, hands down, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, best album of all time. 1 mana 1/1 flying, it's a bird warrior, it's a Suntail Hawk, we all know that's the best kind of card in the game, am I right? Atarka World Render, 7 mana for a 6/4 legendary dragon, flying trample. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, it gains double strike until end of turn. Now you're probably sitting there just about to close this video because I've scrolled past about 6 shitty cards in a row other than Aven Skirmisher, and this is how I'm treating you to a giant dumb dragon? I think there's a Dragonstorm deck out there in Highlander, folks, and I think this guy might get in there. And if not, and then you just want to play red-green rampant to big dumb dragons, this guy's also the dragon for you. Alesha, who smiles at death, 2 and a red, 3/2. First strike, when Alesha attacks, you may pay Hybrid Orzhov, 2 of them. If you do, return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Obviously, this is restricted into those colors, but I think this card's great. Again, she's in the cycle of like Shu Yun or Yasvoa. Easy to cast, great to see first strike on this card, and the ability to return these creatures to the battlefield is insane value for the kind of decks that are, they go into their games expecting 1 or 2 of their creatures are going to get killed off in the first couple of turns. Onto the enchantments. Sage's Reverie, 3 and a white aura. When Sage's Reverie ETBs, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Now, You could rewind to when I talked about Atarka World Render, and then kind of just copy and paste everything I said leading up to this, as I pleaded for you not to close the video. But I think there are enough cards to put together a beautiful Tier 3 Ultron deck. You know, like Boggles or good old Oratog Rancor. I'm not sure I'd play Oratog, but there's enough cards coming out, enough cheap enchantments that give pretty great effects that you can justify putting together some kind of build with cards such as Yavimaya Enchantress. The 3 mana gets +2/+2 for each aura, the Ancestral Mass creature. And then there's the inevitability from these kind of cards in this kind of deck, in that they're not going to stop printing enchantments that give bonuses to creatures. They're not overpowered and limited, unless it's something like Angelic Destiny or whatnot, and I don't even know if that was exactly overpowered. But there's such a drawback and such a risk in playing these kind of cards that they're only going to keep going out and out and out. So the deck is going to keep getting more and more cards. It's a little cute, I will agree, but it's got a soft spot in my heart for that. Monastery Siege. Why are you not loading? There you are. 2 and a blue enchantment. It's part of this cycle. When it ETBs, you choose Khans or Dragons. If you pick Khans at the beginning of your draw step, you draw an additional card, and then you discard a card. If you pick Dragons, spells your opponents cast that target you or a permanent you control cost 2 more to cast. So the only reason I think this is the only one of these sieges that I have in the consider playing this list, and that's mostly because it's only 3 mana and it draws you extra cards. I mean, you have to discard, it's card selection, but in an Enchantress list, I would go ahead and play it. Possibly in if we're going really niche, in like an Owling Mine, Upheaval, Blackfy's list, I might play it just because you want to have as much selection as possible. Other than that, I don't know if you'd want to play this anything else, but hey, that's what we're here for, to point out all the awful cards that you can play in the great format known as Canadian Highlander. Onto the instance. Temur Battle Rage, 1 and a red, instant, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Ferocious, the creature gains trample if it has power 4 or greater. I'd slap this Slim Jim into the cheesy, like, red-green, all-in Colossal Might kind of decks. The Ferocious is a nice touch. It's essentially a double cleave, is I believe the original card. Hybrid. It's essentially a double cleave with a bigger upside. Collateral Damage. 1 red, instant, additional cost, sack a creature that deals 3 damage to a creature or player. So it's a Reckless Abandon, but it deals 3 damage instead of 4. But if you're playing Reckless Abandon, I guess you're reckless enough to want to play this card. Just kidding, folks. I like this card. Not too much, but I think in the right deck, you're good to go with it. Onto the Big Daddy, Ugin the Spirit Dragon, 8 mana, 7 loyalty, +2, lightning bolt something, -X, exile each permanent with CMC X or less that's 1 or more colors. So pretty much everything. Slap him in artifact stacks, maybe control plays him. He's got a... I'm not even going to read his ultimate because it essentially wins you the game. I sure as hell hope it wins you the game. I like this card. Like him a lot. I like him more than Karn, actually. So I assume if you're playing Karn, you probably want to play this guy. Now, 8 is a lot more than 7. That seems stupid to say, but it really is. So that might deter people from wanting to play him, but I really like this guy. Temporal Trespass, 8 colorless, 3 blue, sorcery, delve, take an extra turn, exile the Temporal Trespass. It's a new Time Walk that can be cast for cheaper, and then it exiles so you can't Snapcaster Mage it or Eternal Witness it or whatever. This card isn't that great, but I'm including it because if you're running like the Panoptic Mirror deck where you have every single damn Time Warp you can find, here's one of them. That's really all there is. Crux of Fate, 3 in double black, Choose one. Destroy all dragons or destroy all non-dragons. It's a wrath in black that can possibly save your own creatures. Did I mention it's a wrath in black? That's kind of all there really is. It is 5 mana, so I know, put down your torches. It's still a wrath in black. There's not much to say. I mean, we're a little spoiled from Damnation and Toxic Deluge and Languish for all you time travelers out there. But this card, it's fine. It does its job. Now on to the air quotes trap cards in the sideboard. So these cards, they have some kind of appeal to them, either in niche decks or in already established archetypes, but I don't think that there's any room for them. So as opposed to, say, something like Battle Brawler, where the card's not exactly that great, but when it gets going, it does its job, but there is competition for it. So there are a couple of negatives to it, but there are situations where, hey, you're probably going to want to play this guy. These cards, on the other hand, you might think you want to play them, but I'd just save your time. Just don't. We've got Whisperwood Elemental, 5 mana 4/4. At the beginning of your end step, manifest the top card of your library. It gets put onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2, similar to a morph creature, and turn it face up at any time for its mana cost if it's a creature. So it's a creature that ends up making more creatures if you hit the end step, and then it has sacrifice the elemental. Until end of turn, face up non-token creatures you control gain. When this guy dies, manifest the top card of your library. I could see people wanting to try him in, say, Cradlehoof, or other big green kind of variants, but to me it just doesn't have as much of an impact. It's nice that it's a guy that makes more guys, but it's a little too vulnerable for me, frankly. But hey, somebody proved me wrong. I haven't seen this card in action. I've just heard a couple of murmurs about people have tried it out and they didn't like it and whatnot, and I'd be inclined to agree with them that it doesn't seem like the right spot. Warden of the It's Not Figure of Destiny. So 1 mana 1/1, pay 2, he becomes a human warrior with base power and toughness 3/3. Pay 4, if he is a warrior, he becomes a human spirit warrior with trample and lifelink, so he becomes a 3/3 trample lifelinker. And then pay 6. If he's a spirit, you put 5 counters on him. So he's a bad figure of destiny that I can't really see people wanting to play him in junk decks. I mean, he has this inevitability that you kind of have to deal with him, but he's such a mana sink, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, sometimes you need a mana sink, but in those kind of decks, they're pretty competitive for cards that are just dudes, right? These are colors that don't have the best of time when dealing with combo, unless they kind of dedicate a couple of cards to fighting those archetypes. And I feel like this guy could end up pushing one of those cards out of the list, or fighting for a spot against something that is more deserving. I'm not saying they're cutting Tarmogoyf for him, but I just feel like they're in that color combination. There are too many other options. Which is a recurring theme for all these cards. Soulflare, 4 and double black, delve. If a creature with flying was exiled with Soulflare, Soulflare has flying. The same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, reach, trample, and vigilance. So he's kind of like, I believe Cairn Whisperer is the changeling that has a similar ability. But hey, you get to cast him for only 2 mana. I'm not a huge fan of this guy. Maybe you throw him in an aggressive black deck where you're bound to have your first couple of creatures dying, and one of them maybe has flying or something. But other than that, it's cute. Save it for standard or for some EDH deck or some shit like that. Renowned Weaponsmith, 2 mana 1/3. The only reason I'm even including him is because there are a couple of more guys with this ability. Vidalcan Engineer being one of them, and the other one being Soldevi something or other from Antiquities. Basically, they add mana that you can only spend on artifact spells or their abilities. And this guy has more toughness than those two, but I'm including him on here because I don't think those cards have a spot in any of the archetypes. I think you're better off just playing artifact ramp than a 1/3. Moving on, Flamewake Phoenix. 3 mana, 2/2, flying haste, attacks each turn if able, and then it has Ferocious. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a creature that has power 4 or greater, you can pay a red, and if you do, you return him from the graveyard to the battlefield. It really wants to be Chandra's Phoenix, except the whole attack each turn if able, that's a little unfortunate, and getting 4 power in this color, like in an aggressive red deck, yeah, it's a little hard, and usually if you have 4 power on something, the game is over already, and you don't have the mana to spare the turn of. So I would keep this guy on the bench. Outpost Siege. So again, it's a siege, costs 4 mana. The con side is at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your deck until end of turn. You can play that card. The dragon side, whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, the siege deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So it's just the Chandra Pyromaster, and I can't imagine many decks that are thinking, you know what I could really go for is another Chandra Pyromaster, but just a bit worse. In fact, make it a lot worse. That's my guff with this card. It's harder to get rid of because nobody's really interacting with enchantments outside of like catch-all cards, but I can't really see a deck that's looking to play this. Maybe some kind of stacks variant, but that's a bit of a stretch even for me. Wild Slash. 1 red, instant, deals 2 damage to target creature or player, then Ferocious, the damage can't be prevented. So it's just a shock that has a potential upside, but the upside never really matters that much. Unless you're really scared of Harm's Way or something like that. It doesn't get around... it can't kill off something like a Core Firewalker or whatnot. It's just a shock to me. Not a huge fan. And to close off the video, we have Shamanic Revelation. 5 mana, sorcery, draw a card for each creature you control. Ferocious, gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. In all the times that I played big green Cradle Hoof decks, I did experiment with cards such as a Collective Consciousness or Biomantic Mastery, I believe it's the hybrid version is called, and I never liked them. And it wasn't because they cost 6 mana or 7 mana, it's just because they're too reliable on having other things, and that's not what you want to do with those kind of decks. And the upside, gaining 4 life, who cares? Oh, I'm so damn tired. Anyways, this has been the Fate Reforged? Dear God, I don't even know the name of the set. This has been a Canadian Highlander set review. My name is Benjamin Wheeler. And if you like this video, please comment, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, or share it with your friends and family, possibly your grandparents or your uncles. Howdy, Drowsy D. Playing some Magic 2014? Oh, you card, you. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and if you like that, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more hidden gems, set reviews, deck techs, and much more. Also, be sure to follow our Canadian Highlander Facebook page, and check out our newly updated website at canadianhighlander.wordpress.com. Links for our various podcasts will also be included in the description below. Thanks again, and feel free to leave any questions, comments, or concerns, and one of the council members will be sure to answer as best as they can. And remember, folks, there can be only one.